next guidelines, which is birth after previous cesarean birth. Again, what is called as VBAC. So this is the Green Top Guidelines 45, and this came out in October 2015. So now let's start with this guideline. So VBAC should be planned in women only when there is a singleton pregnancy, cephalic presentation at 37 weeks of gestation or beyond, and she has a history of single previous lower segment cesarean delivery, with or without a history of previous vaginal birth. So VBAC can be planned even if she doesn't have a previous history of vaginal birth, but having a history of previous vaginal birth, it increases the chances of VBAC being more successful. Again, VBAC is contraindicated in those who have a previous history of uterine rupture or a previous classical cesarean scar. This you all know and we have discussed previously also. Now the question comes that in case there is more than one, she has had previous multiple cesarean sections, should you offer VBAC or not in those circumstances? So in case there is 2 or more previous lower segment cesarean births, then she can be offered VBAC, but she needs to be counseled by a senior obstetrician, and she needs to be told about the increased risk of uterine rupture, maternal morbidity, and individual likelihood of successful VBAC. So there is a study by NICHD, which is National Institute of Child Health and Human Development. As per this study, there was no difference in the mortality and morbidity as associated with VBAC after one previous cesarean section or after multiple cesarean sections. But not all studies are giving this result only. There is a systemic review as per which the risk of uterine rupture with previous 2 or more cesarean sections is almost 1.36%, and the chances of success of VBAC after previous 2 or more cesarean sections is almost 71%. Now this is in contrast. If you have a previous transverse cesarean section, then the risk of rupture, it is almost 0.5%. And the success rates of VBAC is 72 to 75%. So since we don't have a definite evidence which says, we will believe what NICHD study says, and we will believe that the morbidity associated with both is almost same. So it's just that the women needs to be counseled and a senior obstetrician needs to be involved. So another thing which the women needs to be counseled when they are going VBAC is that the greatest risk of adverse effects occurs when trial of VBAC fails. So that is associated with the greatest risk of adverse effect, because in that situation you have to perform an emergency cesarean section. This I've already told you that VBAC is associated with 0.5% risk of uterine rupture. This is especially if there is a previous Pfannenstiel scar. And also the success rate varies between 72 to 75%. Again, elective repeat cesarean section, the rate of risk of rupture is 0.2%. So it is like very, very little with ERCS. But the complication which may occur with ERCS is the risk of placenta previa and accreta in future pregnancies, and pelvic adhesions complicating abdominopelvic surgery if it is performed in future. The risk of perinatal death is extremely low, but there is a small increase in the neonatal respiratory morbidity, especially if the cesarean section is performed before 39 weeks of gestation. Preoperative antenatal corticosteroids can help reduce the respiratory morbidity risk. So epidural analgesia is not contraindicated if you are planning a VBAC, but what happens is that in case the woman experiences increased requirement for pain relief during labor, then you must it must raise a suspicion in the mind of the doctor that there could be a possibility of an impending uterine rupture. So you need to be cautious in those situations. Again, if they are undergoing VBAC, then continuous electronic fetal monitoring must be offered to the women, starting at the onset of regular contractions. Women should be aware of the increased risk of uterine rupture and cesarean delivery in induced and or augmented labor compared to spontaneous VBAC labor. Again, we have discussed this with induction of labor guideline that preferably avoid inducing labor in cases with previous cesarean scar because this could be associated with increased risk of uterine rupture or cesarean delivery. And in case you need to induce labor, it is better to use mechanical methods for induction such as amniotomy or Foley's catheter. And preferably a senior obstetrician should discuss the decision to induce labor, induction method, oxytocin use, serial vaginal examinations, and when you want to discontinue the procedure. So in case of elective repeat cesarean section delivery after 39 weeks, you must administer antibiotics before giving a skin incision. Also, doctors need to be cautious when they are planning VBAC in pregnancies which are associated with some kind of risk. For example, post-dated pregnancy, twin gestation, fetal macrosomia, antepartum stillbirth, or maternal age of 40 years or more. Preterm women should be informed that VBAC has similar success rates as planned term VBAC. Also, it is associated with lower risk of uterine rupture.